We're back with Chief McDonnell. Chief, you're involved in a number of different activities outside of Long Beach commissions and so forth and so on. And most recently, the report of the Citizens Commission on Jail Violence. You served on that commission. You were appointed by Supervisor Don Kanabe. Right. The commission just wrapped up its work, and let me just read from the beginning of the executive summary. There's been a persistent pattern of unreasonable force in the LA County jails that dates back many years. Notwithstanding a litany of reports and recommendations by many bodies over 2 decades, it was only recently that the LA County Sheriff's Department began to implement changes that significantly reduced the level of force used by deputy sheriffs in the jails. The responsibility lies with the department's leadership. Significantly, the department failed to identify, monitor, and address force problems until the sheriff began to take an active interest last year in the wake of a series of scathing reports, the glare of adverse publicity, actions by the County Board of Supervisors, including creating this commission, and a series of public hearings. You were there for the entire year the commission met. Give us your take on the recommendations of the commission.
Yeah, we worked on this since we kicked it off in October of last year at the direction of the LA County Board of Supervisors. We had a panel of 7 people that came together. We had a lot of people that were pro bono attorneys working behind the scenes doing the investigation and analysis of over 30,000 pages worth of information, looking at prior lawsuits, looking at use of force reports, looking at anything that they had access to, in addition to over 150 interviews that were conducted of people both inside the Sheriff's Department, people who had served time in the county jail, and observers who had been watching the jail for a long period of time. The takeaway from all of that was the report that was completed and unveiled last Friday. 63 recommendations overall, pursuant to the findings of the report. It's online, and I would recommend that anybody who has an interest take a look at it. It's very straightforward. There were deficiencies found and identified very clearly, and a number of recommendations made to be able to help rectify those deficiencies. And it goes across the board from management, culture, use of force issues, and on and on. The sheriff yesterday held a press conference, and during that embraced all of the recommendations that he is going to actively work to implement those within the system. So we're optimistic that this time spent and all the work that went on this will be fruitful, and that overall we'll have a better system than we may have had in the past.
Now, it's not an easy job running a jail or jails, and there are some pretty tough characters who you are imprisoning in these jails, but you accept the principle that unreasonable force should not be used even in a jail situation, or anywhere for that matter, but certainly not in a jail situation.
That's correct. Yeah, I mean, you have a very tough environment. The deputies who work and custody assistants who work in that jail every day, they deserve an awful lot of credit. That is a very, very tough environment. You have some of the more violent people in America housed in the LA County Jail. You have all of the complexity that goes along with that, with the issues of mental illness that are so prevalent. You have gang issues that you probably don't have anything similar anywhere else in the nation or around the world. So there's an awful lot of work goes into that. It's a tough, complex environment. But when you look at the force is necessary in a jail at times. And I think that the whole key is that the force that's used by the deputies needs to be reasonable, and it needs to be warranted. And what we're looking at is an acknowledgement that force is part of the business. That's the nature of the beast. But the other part is unreasonable force is not.
And the first sentence of the executive summary mentions that this has been a persistent problem in LA County Jail going back many, many years. But Lee Baca is the sheriff today,
yes,
and responsibility does start at the top in any organization.
Sure.
And the sheriff has to bear his share of the responsibility for this current situation.
Yeah, that's very true. He said it himself a number of times. He's the elected official in charge of the LA County Sheriff's Department. Yesterday, as I mentioned, he took he took control. He basically said, okay, I embrace the recommendations and we're moving forward and going to try and implement each and every one of them. So we're optimistic.
And as a personal member of the commission, is it your belief that if these 63 recommendations are implemented or substantially implemented, the situation will improve?
I believe the situation will improve. It's not something where you can go in and just check the box on any of these recommendations. It has to become part of the culture. It has to be something that's embraced as part of the way that the business is done on a daily basis. And we need not only to look at the top of the organization, but it has to be a philosophy that's infused throughout the organization. And that's the challenge in doing that in an environment that is as complex and is as violent as the one that we're looking at.
And you're suggesting that culture cannot be changed overnight. This has to be an ongoing process with attention paid to it over many months and years.
That's correct.
Yeah. Thank you, Chief, for your service on that. And we'll be back with our conversation with the Chief after we pause for these messages. We're back having this wonderful conversation with the Chief. We talked earlier briefly, Chief, about how crime fighting is not just the responsibility of the police department, but a community effort.
Right.
Let's talk about that for a second.
Sure. I mean, when you look at the job of policing in Long Beach, we try and be as proactive as we possibly can, to be out there, to be visible, to be able to focus on those that we know are committing the crimes, to be able to prevent crimes from happening by using information that we obtain from the community, and to be able to prevent crimes before they happen. Unfortunately, that doesn't always happen, and we end up responding to crimes after the fact. In those cases, it's critical that we get as much cooperation as we possibly can from the community as far as identifying who committed the crime, and any information we can use then for follow-up investigation. Because as I mentioned earlier, with diminished resources, it's critical that that information obtained at the crime scene or directly after be obtained so that we can do the investigation in an as abbreviated amount of time as possible, because one crime comes down the road after another, and you get backlogged.
And a recent crime, an alert neighbor called 911 when she saw something suspicious, and that resulted in an apprehension.
Yeah, well, that was publicized. That happens all the time, and we're very, very thankful to the people who decide, you know what, I've had it. I'm not going to watch a crime happen and not do anything about it. I'm going to call, and I'm going to be a good witness. And we're not looking for people to get involved and put themselves in jeopardy, but a good witness who gets a license plate, who gets a description of the person, or has information about somebody who's a repeat offender within their own community. That's critical to us. And I've often said that nobody knows a community better than the people who live there.
Sure.
The officers who work there each and every day know something about it, but somebody who lives there knows what's happening and can be very helpful to us in making the community safer.
And neighborhood watch organizations are also helpful along those lines.
Sure. Anybody who takes the time to work with their neighbors, to get to know each other, that's the critical piece, is people don't know who lives next door, who lives 2 doors down, or what their habits are. So when something happens and there's a moving truck out front, and they're moving stuff out of the house, you would hope that the neighbors around would know that that's scheduled and planned, and not that they're being burglarized, and they're watching it in progress.
Well, let me put a plug in for the Long Beach Police Department, Long Beach Police Foundation. I'm involved in that organization. Its purpose in life is to help the Long Beach Police Department do its job through giving assistance in training and technology, and also community outreach, including, importantly, youth programs. And this is an opportunity for you as a citizen of Long Beach or a neighboring community to help the police department do their job. We're offering now charter memberships in the Long Beach Police Department. You get one of these beautiful foundation, one of these beautiful laminated membership cards. It's $100 a year. It's tax deductible. And just speak to the value of what the Long Beach Police Foundation does for the Long Beach Police Department.
Yeah, well, thank you, and thank you, Art, for your leadership with the foundation. This is a critical partnership that we have, where members of the community can get involved in whatever manner they feel appropriate to be able to help promote what it is we'd like to be able to do beyond the core mission. So many of our opportunities and our abilities to be able to work with youth in the community that are so critical to providing mentoring and helping kids stay on the right path have been diminished now due to budget in the last several years. So to be able to use revenue raised through the foundation to be able to help further some of those programs, not for the police to actually be the ones out there doing it, but to be a partner and be able to be involved, come in and spend some time, speak with the youth in the city, and then to be able to still be available for calls and go where they need to go to, but to give others who do this full time, park and recs and so many private sector organizations and nonprofits who do youth programs, to be able to work with them to enhance what's available to kids.
Some of the wonderful programs supported by the Long Beach Police Foundation include Shop with a Cop, where kids go shopping at Target, they get a $100 gift card, and they go literally shopping with a police officer where there's a positive interaction. The Youth Explorers, that are young men and women who, some of them will go on to apply for the police academy, and boxing programs, a whole array of wonderful programs. One year we sent a police officer to Israel for anti-terrorist training that the city budget did not permit. So these things are really, really good, and you can be part of it by joining the Police Foundation. The first 300 members to join will be designated forever as charter members, so long as you keep your annual membership active. And among those who have already joined, besides the chief and myself and the city prosecutor, are the mayor, Bob Foster, Councilman Gary DeLong, the president of F&M Bank, Dan Walker, John Morris, Mike Salt, Nick Worthington, Julie Higginus, Rabbi Stephen Moskowitz, Mike Walter, Alex Belhumer, and Jim Hankler. And as the old poster went, Uncle Sam wants you, we want you to join. We're putting up the website of the Police Foundation and the telephone number. At the end of that segment, you can pay by credit card or by check. It's tax deductible, and you'll be helping make Long Beach a safer city. So it's a partnership.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your leadership, Art.
And I know you had experience up in LA for many, many years as the #2 guy up there, and the foundation in Los Angeles is very robust.
It is. It is. The police department has a great foundation in Los Angeles, and more recently, the fire department up there has also started their own foundation. And people want to be actively involved as best they can in helping promote public safety. This is, I think, a great opportunity to be able to do that, to have access to to know what's going on in the department, have access to the people within the department, and to be able to just see, what are we doing, and potentially how do we do it better.
I think it's a great opportunity, despite the tough budget situation we're in. Here's a chance for the community to step forward and pick up a little bit about that slack, and be part of the solution to this problem. So we'll be back with the rest of our show after these messages. I think we're very fortunate to have a chief in this city of the quality of Jim McDonnell. He's part of this community, he's everywhere, and he embraces technology and invites the community to join his police department, our police department, in a common effort against crime and the bad guys. And Chief, I'll give you a few seconds to say whatever you want.
Well, just a thank you to all of those in the city. This is a great city as far as supporting public safety. Thank you to those who've gotten involved in the past, and to those who maybe could step up more. We welcome the help. We need the help of all of our residents in this city to be able to help us realize what a city we can be. A little work goes an awful long way. The public truly is the eyes and ears of the police department. So if there's something that you feel that would be helpful to us and help making our community safer, we would very much appreciate that.
Thank you, Chief. Thanks for the great work you and your men and women do, and thanks for joining us on Straight Talk.
Thank you, Art, very much.
Okay, and thank you at home for being with us, and please join us next week for the next edition of our show. Good night, everyone.
Straight Talk has been brought to you by Southern California Edison, the Press Telegram, and remember, Straight Talk is viewable worldwide 24/7 at straighttalktv.com.